welcome back to Dimitra's Dishes. So today I'm going to teach you another delicious, what could be a vegan recipe. I'm saying it could be a vegan. It's my triple chocolate semolina pudding cake, or my chocolate Halvas. That's how you say it in Greek. So I never knew that vegans don't eat honey, and apparently I learn something new every day, and you guys help me learn it in the comment section. So you can make this vegan by leaving out the honey and substituting an equal amount of sugar for the honey. So like every syrupy dessert that we make, and this is a syrupy dessert, we begin by making the syrup. So I'm adding 4 cups of water to my saucepan right here. And the syrup is very simple to make. All it is water, sugar, cocoa powder, a little bit of instant coffee powder, and some honey. So we're going to add the honey last. We're going to put the sugar, water. We're going to put the sugar, water, and all the other ingredients, coffee powder and cocoa powder in here. And once it comes to a boil, we're going to turn it off, and then we're going to add a cup of honey in here. In the meantime, we'll go over all of the rest of the ingredients. Now we're going to need some semolina flour, flavorless oil, about a cup of any flavorless oil that you have, vegetable oil, canola oil, whatever you have. Some chocolate chips. These are not actually chocolate chips. These are melting chocolate callets or calais. I don't know what you call them. You can chop up 4 ounces of a baking semi-sweet chocolate bar. You can use semi-sweet, dark, or milk chocolate. I'm using semi-sweet. I have some chopped up hazelnuts right here that I've toasted for a few minutes in the oven, and then I chopped them up. And then I chopped up some cherries because I'm putting dark cherries in here. I've chopped them up. You can leave the cherries out if you're not a fan of dried fruit in your cake, or you can substitute them for chocolate chips or any other of your favorite dry fruit that you like. Now, or just leave them out completely. It's completely up to you. I just like them in there because they're gonna add that tart and chewy consistency, and I feel like chocolate and dark cherries go really, really well together, so I'm using them. I'm also gonna use some pure vanilla extract, a tiny bit of sea salt, and that's it. And then we're gonna top it with a ganache, but I'll go over those ingredients later when we get to them. So right now we're just gonna wait for this to come to a boil. Okay, so the syrup is about to come to a boil. In the meantime, I will put my oil in here, and that's going to help me because I'm going to use the same measuring cup to measure my honey. Anytime you're measuring honey into a measuring cup, it's almost impossible to get it out of the cup if it's not oiled well. So that's a nice trick. And then I'm going to put my semolina in here, and I'll begin to toast it with a little bit of salt. Just a pinch. All desserts get a pinch of salt. That just brings out the flavors. That's all it does. So now we're going to toast the semolina carefully over medium-high heat, constantly mixing it for about 7 to 8 minutes, or until you smell that really nice nutty aroma. Then you'll know that it's ready. And it can happen together while the syrup is boiling. This will happen, and then you'll just be that much closer to eating this. So once it begins to boil, you're going to turn the heat off and then go ahead and add the honey in. And just like that, there's no wastage of the honey. And just give it a nice stir. And as soon as the semolina is done toasting, we're going to add the syrup to it. That should just take a couple more minutes. We're almost there. So at this point, the semolina is toasted. I'm just going to add my dried cherries. Now, I'm going to turn the heat off, and it's important that you turn the heat off, and it's also important that you're using a deep pan, because as soon as we add the syrup to the semolina, it's going to bubble up vigorously. So you want to be careful. If the pot is not deep enough, it'll bubble out and it might burn you. So just take care to use the proper pot. And then I'm going to go in carefully with my spatula and stir it around. And once all that really crazy boiling stops, I'm going to turn the heat back on. right about now. Turn it back on, and I'm gonna cook it until all of the syrup is absorbed and the pudding begins to detach from the sides of the pan. That should take just a few minutes, maybe 3 to 5 minutes or so. Okay, once it gets to this consistency, then we're going to turn the heat off, add the chocolate, the vanilla extract. At this point, if you wanted to, some freshly zested orange would go really nice with this too, but I feel like there are a lot of flavors in this, so that's the only reason I didn't add it, but you can. And we're just going to stir it until the chocolate completely melts. And again, we're doing this off the heat. And then we're going to add our toasted hazelnuts. Fold those all in. I can smell the chocolatiness already. Especially when the vanilla hits that, it just brings out the chocolate. That's done. Now we're going to take a bundt pan. Any bundt pan will do. So I'm going to use this bundt pan right here. A nice trick is to brush some water onto it. That'll just help it release a little bit easier. But we're just going to put all of our chocolate halva in here. Press it down so it's nice and compact. The best thing about this dessert is you can make this a day or two before you're serving it, and then just pour the ganache the day that you are serving it, and you're good to go. Now I'm going to set this aside until it cools completely. It should take a few hours before it's completely ready to unmold, but as soon as it's done, I'll show you what it's going to look like, and then we're going to get on to making the ganache topping. Okay, so I took my cake out of the bundt pan, and look at how beautiful it looks. It would be perfect as is, but we're going to kick it up a notch and make it even more decadent and delicious. So here I have some chocolate, 4 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate, a little bit of heavy cream that I've heated up until a boiling point, so that way it can melt this chocolate and create a beautiful ganache. And then I have some more chopped up hazelnuts that I'm just going to use for a little bit of garnish. I've also whipped up some heavy whipping cream with a couple of tablespoons of powdered sugar. I've made whipped cream, homemade whipped cream on the channel so many times. It's super simple to make. And I do have a recipe for it, which I'll link up to in the description box down below. I'm going to also add about a half a teaspoon of instant coffee powder to my chocolate ganache. And it's not going to taste like coffee at all, but it's going to bring out the chocolatiness of it and make it more chocolatey, if that makes sense. So always let the hot cream sit over the chocolate chips so they can melt. And then whisk them until it's beautiful and shiny and smooth. Just like that, our ganache is ready, and I'm just gonna decorate the top of my cake with it. And you want to do that while it's still warm, because you want it to just drip down the sides of the cake. Beautiful, I have some left over. Now I'm just going to garnish it with some toasted hazelnuts. You can also do some white chocolate shavings. I think the contrast will be really pretty. And that's it, just like that, your cake is ready. I'm going to serve it with whipped cream. I'll cut into this and show you what the inside looks like, but that, my friends, is it. The triple chocolate semolina pudding cake, also known as chocolate Halvas. Let's cut into this and see what it looks like on the inside and what it tastes like. so moist. Look at that. Do you see how moist that is? Can you see? Take our whipped cream. Does that look fancy or what? I mean, I'm not one to be super fancy schmancy, but this right here looks like it can be on a magazine, honestly. But it's not gonna be on a magazine, it's gonna be in my mouth because I can't resist it. I'm gonna taste it. It's super chocolatey, very moist. You get the crunch of the hazelnut, you get the chewiness of the cherry, and it's also a little tart, and then the creaminess of the whipped cream. If you're making it vegan, leave out the whipped cream. It's just perfect as it is. The recipe, as always, in the description box down below, takes you directly to the website www.dimitrasdishes.com, where you'll get this recipe with all the exact measurements and many more. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Thumbs up the video, subscribe. Let me know in the comment section down below what you would like to learn how to make next. And if you've made it, let me know what you think. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.